Hey baby, I hear those blues a calling. It's time for the Frasier on Frasier podcast. Hello and welcome. It is I, your host Adam Frazier, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Wes Corwin. How you doing, Wes?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We're talking today about season 1, episode 18 of Frasier. And the Whimper is.
And the Whimper is.
Sort of an awkward pun on the phrase, and the winner is.
It doesn't quite roll off the tongue like other punny titles have.
No, but it does get the general idea of the episode across.
Yeah.
Which I guess is what they were going for. So in this episode, Frasier is being nominated for a CeeBee.
A CB, which is a play on words like CB radio.
Oh, is it?
Is it not? What is it?
I mean, that's the first. I mean, I thought it had something to do with like Seattle or something. But no, that makes much more sense. That is. You're the first person to ever point that out to me.
I thought that's what that meant, but I could be thoroughly wrong.
That sounds right on the money to me. I can't believe that's gone over my head.
Well, that's why I'm the guest. That's why you have me on that's why I'm the co-host. That's what I bring to the table.
The insight. Yeah. Fresh eyes. So Frasier is in competition for an award. It's the first award that his show has been nominated for, so we're going to get into some hijinks here, guys. It starts off pretty simply. We got Frasier doing his radio show. He's giving advice to a woman. We don't hear her voice. She's not like a guest star in this episode. We don't have like a guest star for this episode, or like a guest voice.
No.
So we will not know who was the voice of Angela. Probably someone very famous. Like
think about it. Go ahead.
Angela Lansbury.
I would love Angela Lansbury.
Yeah. So we got, and it's cosmetic surgery. Angela Lansbury has had tons of cosmetic surgery, I'm sure.
Yeah, she had surgery so she could play a teapot in Beauty. They were like, it's animated, and she was like, I have to be the role. I have to be.
She's a method actor. She's like. She's like Joaquin Phoenix or Daniel Day-Lewis.
Right. She insists on it.
So Frasier looks up from his desk, looks over to Roz, and Roz is gone. She is not in the booth where she normally is.
Completely absent.
So Frasier, he goes to commercial. He walks into Roz's area, appears out in the hallway, apparently sees her coming, so he kind of hides. He's gonna, and Roz walks in. She doesn't see Frasier, and she kind of briefly panics, and then Frasier jumps out and scares her, kind of. It was a little prank. But it turns out Roz was. She was going up. She was trying to figure out who was nominated for a CeeBee if they were nominated.
Right.
That's why she was out of the booth, and Frasier kind of plays it cool. He's like, "Oh, I had forgotten that was even a thing.
I had forgotten there was even an award with this name." And they were like, and Roz is like, "This is the biggest award in Seattle radio," and he was like, "I suppose it's the difference in our age. I don't find myself getting excited about anything." And then old Noel Shempsky is back. Star Trek, Captain Kirk fan, Noel Shempsky is back to say congratulations. Frasier freaks out. He's like, we got to nominate. And Noel's like, oh no, I was just congratulating you on a great show. If anybody deserves a nomination, it's you guys. And then he's told, get out, Neil. And then he leaves.
So yeah, Frasier has blown his cover. He is excited about potentially being nominated. It would be a feather in his cap if he would win. It's his first year in radio. Yeah. So Roz gets a call at someone. I think it's Millie. We don't know who Millie is, but apparently maybe she works in the radio station, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
She's talking to Millie and she's getting real excited, and then Frazier thinks she's giving her the news about the nomination, and turns out Millie's just getting married.
Yeah. Frazier says, "Damn it, Roz," and then that's that scene.
Yeah. We go to our next scene, Cafe Nervosa. Now I'm interested in what you were thinking. Especially after the last episode, we just had a harrowing, because Niles decided to reconcile. It does seem like a direct continuation of the previous episode where Niles and Maris had a little bit of a rocky thing. Niles reveals that we go to Cafe Nervosa. Niles is having coffee with Frazier, and Niles is talking about
in the middle of a conversation, and he starts talking about, she said she'd been seeing someone else. She couldn't keep living a lie. He was dumbfounded. Everything we'd gone through together, didn't that mean anything? And there's a long pause, and Frazier replies, "Niles, a patient has a right to change therapists."
It wasn't Maris and Niles having. It was a patient. Niles.
Niles, when will you learn?
Did that get you? I'm interested.
I was like, wow, this is something, and then, no, it wasn't anything.
No, we presumably Niles and Maris are the same. They're fine, or at least nothing has really changed in their relationship. But we got a whole bunch of returning people, and we've got Noel, and we get BB. BB Glazer.
BB. We haven't seen her since Circle Takes the Square episode. That wasn't the name, but it was something else. It was about him selling out. Was it called Selling Out? I think it was Frazier.
I think it was just called Selling Out. I think they didn't get it they didn't put a lot of thought into that title. Not like and the Whimper is.
No, of course not.
So BB walks into Cafe Nervosa. She congratulates Frazier on being nominated for a 1994 CeeBee.
Mm-hmm.
And Frazier's like, I was nominated. And I guess here's why I thought maybe CeeBee was like somehow short for like Seattle or something. It's because the award itself is spelled SEABEA. So it's like C, like the first part of Seattle. That's.
I guess.
I mean, it could work on two levels.
It could be referring to the best radio producer in the 7 Seas. Bees. Yeah. See, I don't know what B is short for, because it's Seattle.
Let's just agree that it's a terrible name.
Right. I assume it's short for Seattle Beattle.
That's Seattle's. That's Seattle's last name.
Yep, that's what that is. That's what that's gotta be.
So BB congratulates Frazier. Frazier he does a big scene in Cafe Nervosa, which if I were the owner of Cafe Nervosa, I would hate Frazier because he's always coming in making a scene and just talking way too loud. I can't even hear the other patrons.
He is thoroughly loud at all the time. He's always having the loudest conversation in. He's
always bringing his hijinks in here.
Get it? I'm sick of it. He doesn't. He usually gives my servers guff. I'm sick of him. If I were the owner of Cafe Nervosa, I would have banned him by now.
So we get, and I think this is the first time Niles and BB meet, right. because Niles does introduce himself to BB, and then BB sends him away to go get her coffee.
Yes. It is we cover an important detail, or we recover it again, that Niles doesn't really find it tasteful that Frazier has taken his profession of psychiatry and turned it into entertainment.
That's a very dim view of it.
Right. BB, of course, is like, you must be proud. Niles is like, no, this is just another signpost on the low road of celebrity, which my brother's chosen. And then there is a fun physical comedy bit where after Niles reveals that psychiatry is a noble profession, tarnished by a little thing, popularity contest, BB says, I bet you guys had wicked little hair-pulling contests when you were tots. and then they both favor as if that just saying that brings back memories of.
They start touching their hair,
touching each other, touching their own hair.
So Niles has to go. We get another one of those classic Niles lines where he's like, "Oh, I've got a sexual addiction group, and I don't like to leave them alone for too long." So Niles leaves, and we get Roz comes into Cafe Nervosa. She's heard the news by now, and she and Frazier have they have a hug and they do a little dance, and we find out that Roz has a date with Brad McNamara.
Not Brad, the most handsome man in television. Television's most handsome man is his title. That he's a reporter for Channel 8, and he's very handsome. He's as handsome as Maris is small, in that I don't know if we'll ever see either one of them.
he's a frighteningly handsome man.
He is a devastatingly handsome man.
So Roz has a date with him, and I think she's more excited about that than the actual award.
Right.
We get the first meeting of Roz and BB.
Yes.
I think, yeah, because BB doesn't. She just straight out says, like, "Who are you?
Who are you?" And when Roz reveals she's the producer, BB's like, "Oh, I seen you bring him coffee. Get me my coffee." And then she just leaves. Very defeated. It's BB. I think among the themes in this episode, BB makes multiple other characters get her a drink or a beverage.
Well, specifically Niles. We'll get to it, but yeah,
we'll get there.
So yeah, Frazier is talking about he's got to get all of he's got to make arrangements for the award show. BB's like, "Oh well, I've already got you a tux and a limo, and your tickets are waiting for you." And Frazier's like, "Oh well, sounds like the only thing you haven't done is find me a date." And BB's like, "Oh, your subtlety floors me. I'd love to." So she has to go break the bad news to her other clients that weren't nominated, and has to tell them about what a worthless award this is.
Who cares? But one of my other clients.
Which shows how kind of two-faced BB can be. She's really just she'll say anything to her clients.
Land the angles.
We get to Frazier's apartment. Frazier is uncorking a bottle of champagne in celebration. He's talking to Daphne about all the special secrets of opening a bottle of wine, a fine French champagne. And of course he bungles the whole thing up, and he's
specifying the techniques, and he said instead of popping it, you give it 3 gentle, and as he's talking about the gentle twist, the entire thing of course explodes.
Right.
Typical Frazier.
Eddie starts licking it up off the table.
Yeah, just very excited at the chance of alcohol. I'm sure we'll get into Eddie's harrowing backstory and his experience with booze, a literal booze hound, in future installments of the series here.
So Martin is so of course it's Martin, it's Frazier, and it's Daphne. All celebrating. Martin's proud of Frazier for his nomination, or I think he's just proud of Frazier being nominated for anything.
Right, it's just exciting that he's accomplished something. Which is interesting, because I wouldn't say he's unaccomplished, he's just taken like a scholarly, he's a psychiatrist.
Yeah, different route. I'm sure Martin would have preferred if he'd become like a famous athlete or something, but no. He
just wasn't a sports boy.
Yeah. And rather than drinking the champagne, Martin just goes to the kitchen and gets a beer.
Gets a beer and pours it into a champagne glass.
Yeah, that's our Martin. So Daphne, she's also very excited. She thinks it's very nice of Frazier to include her in the celebrations, even though she's technically an employee. Frazier remarks, "Well, Daphne, there's never any doubt about that. I think of you as my equal in every way." And then, of course, the doorbell rings. Frazier just kind of sits there.
Takes a seat on the couch.
Right. Expecting Daphne to answer the door, and when she doesn't, he kind of glares at her, and then Daphne's like, oh, okay, fine, I'll get it.
And then she says, would you like me to announce your visit? And Frazier's like, just answer the door. And it's old Roz, who is congratulated by Daphne. Not about the award, but about getting to take out Brad McNamara.
Getting into Brad McNamara's pants.
Getting into some of that McNamara. Apparently, it's revealed that when Roz watches the show, she imagines Brad McNamara bottomless, which I believe would be an FCC violation. But either way, that's how she imagines it.
Yeah. So, Roz brings over a catalog of some kind, some sort of, I guess it's a newspaper clipping, maybe? Broadcast magazine, that's it. And there's a full-page ad in there, and it's Wendy Ashiro wishes to thank members of the voting committee for her nomination. Right, so it's another person who was nominated for the same award that Frazier was nominated for, and she's taken out a full-page ad thanking the voters of the CeeBees committee. So, of course, Frazier, his immediate reaction is that it's very poor taste, but Roz is like, okay, what are we going to put on our ad? Because Roz
I'm sorry, but this is, yes, Roz wants this more than anything. We've covered the fact that Roz has been in radio 10 years and never received a nomination. This is her first nomination in her lengthy radio career. Frazier is a relatively new broadcaster. He's definitely a relatively new talent as a radio host, and this is his first time being nominated. It's taken Roz significantly longer. This also, I think it's important to note, is a big part of any kind of awards. I don't know if you've heard the horror stories about what people do for the Oscars or the Emmys, but it is a lot of, like, sending people gifts and notes and, like, kind of badgering them after you're nominated in the hopes. It's largely about the campaign much more than it is about actually showcasing talent or ability.
Right. Because, I mean, if it's like something like the Academy Awards, it's doubtful that the people who the Academy watches the films that they nominate. I guess
no, absolutely not. No.
Right. So it's really it's more about the campaign, and Wendy Ashiro is campaigning for the award that she's been nominated for. Roz thinks it would be a good idea if they campaigned. Martin is when he hears Wendy Ashiro, he's like, "Oh, she's up against you for this award. I like her. She's a cutie."
Yeah. And then it's revealed that there's a different nominee, Mike Sanchez, who sent out tapes of his show, and Martin goes, "Mike Sanchez? Oh, I like him.
He's a cutie."
He doesn't say Mike is a cutie, but there is an implicit he is a cutie.
It's that same tone.
And then Roz suggests, who knows what Fletcher Gray is doing? And then Martin goes, Fletcher Gray! And then Frazier interrupts him before he can talk about how cute he thinks Fletcher Gray is.
All right.
But Frazier gives permission that as long as it's tasteful and understated, they can do something in reply. And Roz calls a friend and wants to work something out. And then Frazier insists on wanting to do something unique and different.
They're going to throw a big cocktail party. They're going to send out gifts, personalized gifts.
From the new Tiffany's catalog, cigarette cases and silver flasks and bathrobes.
So, of course, Martin has to come in and he has to kind of, he has to kind of, be like, hey, if you
should win on your own merit, because sending out all these awards, this is bribery. And that is, it's
he's not wrong.
Typical. He isn't. He is completely correct. It would be great if awards were handed out on merit. Unfortunately, this is kind of how you play the game. Unfortunately, this is. Who knows? I don't know how you judge radio quality, because I'm not a grandmother from the 1990s.
But you were voted funniest person in Austin, Wes.
I was funniest in Texas.
Funniest in Texas. No, excuse me. Funniest in Texas.
Anyway, yes, no, I don't.
Did you campaign for that?
I sent out several. I sent out like a bag of trash to the club. I thought that would help, and I walked away with the award. So
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Frazier and Roz, they're not going to do what Martin tells them. They're going to go ahead and campaign for this award. Cut to the awards. So we get to it's Martin, Frazier, Daphne. They're all arriving together. Daphne is upset because her shoes are too tight and
some sales girl was like, "You look great in those," and she is in great pain. She's hobbling. She's in heavy pain. A number of voting committee members walk over to Frazier to wish him good luck and to thank him for the gifts.
Bob Peterson, who is played by Mark Sawyer, who this is our fun little like IMDb cast trivia thing for the day. He was apparently the voice of Blaster Not in the original Math Blaster.
I love Math Blaster. He was Math Blaster?
He was Blaster Not and Spot and the Trash Monster. I only ever played. I think they remade Math Blaster like after the fact, and I remember this is like the original Math Blaster.
This is episode 1 Math. This is like OG
Search
Math
for
Blaster.
Spot. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's just a random piece of trivia. He was also in an episode of Cheers.
As customer number 1, who presumably still playing Bob Peterson. Is
Right.
again sort of a lot of people followed Frazier from Boston to Seattle.
Right. They were like, Frazier's moving to Seattle. We gotta follow him. We
better head over there with him. Better support him and also get spots on this voting committee and help him that way. But we'll see how that goes.
So all these people come up to Frazier. They're apparently members of the voting committee. They've all received their gifts from Frazier, and it is looking very good for Frazier that they will win this award.
Yes.
Because of the amount of effort they put into their campaign. Roz arrives, and unfortunately, she is not with Brad McNamara.
Unfortunately, it turns out there was a hospital that went up in flames, so he has to go and cover that story.
Brad McNamara. I don't think we mentioned it, but he's a news reporter of some kind.
He's a Channel 8 reporter, the most handsome man on television.
Right.
But he's got to go cover the story because there's a hospital on fire. You know anybody that has worse luck than Roz does?
So who is she with, Wes? Who fills in as Roz's date?
Old Noel the Mole, Noel Shempsky. Old Captain Kirk.
Flash in the Vulcan peace salute.
Old Noel. Giving a very helpful tip to Dr. Crane. If you're ever
get free parking.
You can get free parking, which is a very nice thing. First of all, I think that's a very polite thing to say. Hey, great news, Dr. Crane. When you get nominated next year, which is a kind thing to say, you can get some free parking, which is helpful, but people still act like Noel's a big idiot or a jerk, when that's, I think, one of the coolest. I think that's very nice. Noel continues to be demonized, in my opinion, for just being, like, a little weird.
He's just being nice. He's just telling.
He's a sweet.
Just telling where he can get some free parking, and he likes Star Trek, and he's a little weird, but that's fine. I mean, everyone's got their quirks.
Everyone's got their quirks, especially in the face like Noel is treated like a big geek, and then he sits down next to Daphne and introduces himself very politely, and Daphne immediately throws her foot on the table and asks for a foot rub. And Frazier's like, Daphne, it's like, there are weirder people than Noel at this table. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And Daphne is here's the thing, is that Noel doesn't know whether or not she has psychic powers. But if she starts talking about psychic powers, we still got to act like Noel is the weirdo here, I guess. I don't fucking, whatever.
Fletcher Gray comes over. The man, the dean of Seattle radio. He is the man to beat. He's
nominated 11 times. 11 nominations for this award.
Never won once.
Never.
He is the DiCaprio of the Seattle radio. Well, I guess I can't say DiCaprio because he's won an award now.
He has won an award, but very similarly, Fletcher Gray has produced radio for The Departed and Titanic and Inception. Yeah, these are episodes of the Fletcher Gray show. Whatever we'll get there. What it's called. It's like in Fletcher something.
So, and this is where Frazier starts feeling a little bad, because he's of course put a lot of effort into winning this award by bribing the judges.
He's playing the game, but he sees in Fletcher somebody that's old school and well, okay, but here's the thing, and I do want to say this. Fletcher is presented as like the guy who's done it right for all these years. He's shown up. He's tried to win on his merit. He's taken his loss. He's also brought like his grandmother. He's also
not his grandmother, his mother.
His mother, his decrepit older mother, in what some might call an emotional play, to be like, I fly my mother out for this every year, and you keep giving me like the L. My mom keeps showing up here, and he retired this year in, again, maybe an emotional ploy to be like, hey, I'm done. Just give me the award. Like, this is your last chance. Which it's not a gift, but I do think there's a little bit of jockeying here that the show is just like, oh, it's sad that's another way to sort of try to influence the judges, I think.
Right. Well, perhaps, but I mean, I do get the sense that Mrs. Gray is. Mm-hmm. I think they even say like she just makes the trip out to see Fletcher, get turned down for a CeeBees year, because that's just something that she likes to do.
Right.
She's just there to support her son. And she's played by a woman, Maxine Elliott Hicks, who it's almost every other credit in her IMDb page is old woman.
Oh, sure.
There's
Interesting note. That can't be right. Never mind. I'm sorry. If you search Maxine Elliott on Wikipedia, the first thing that comes up is a woman in black and white, and I was like, "Oh, that's
I think that is right. I think that is right."
She died in 1940. Do not. Here we go. Maxine Elliott Hicks, who doesn't have a picture. She lived to be 96 years old. She started acting in 1992. Her first film was Beethoven, the one about the dog.
That wasn't her first movie. No, her first movie, according to IMDb, I don't think it's her first movie, but it's Babbitt, and she plays Verona Babbitt, so I'm assuming that's like a starring role.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. No, wait, hold on. Okay. This is...
She also plays she's also credited as 150-year-old woman in Nerves of a Feather, which is a trauma movie.
Are we looking at the same... I'm looking at Maxine Elliott Hicks.
I'm looking at Maxine Elliott Hicks as linked to from the IMDb page for And the Whimper Is.
Okay, I'm looking at... So according to this, the first film she was in was in 1917. It was called The Little Duchess. It was an American silent drama film. And then her last film... her last film was Beethoven.
No, yeah.
Her last TV show was... This was her second to last TV show, Frasier. She was also in an episode of Thunder Alley as older woman.
Like I was saying, she almost every other credit towards the end of her film career is old woman or older woman.
So okay,
she's got to suck when you get older.
Yeah. Okay, I see. But okay. Now I'm on the right person's IMDb. Black and white picture. As I said, there's a different woman named Maxine Elliott, who was also an actress with a black and white picture, but she died in 1940. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard that theory where the oldest woman to ever live from France, who lived to be 121, actually was her daughter who stole her identity. I feel like there's a reverse situation where the woman that was born in 1868 took the life of some child actress and assumed her identity, and she lived to be 132 years old, and that is Maxine Elliott Hicks.
You've cracked it, Wes.
I've done it. I figured it out.
Getting back to the episode, we got Oh, BB arrives at the she's Frasier's date. Well, not not really.
I do want to point out before we continue. I'm sorry. There's a 39-year gap where Maxine Elliott Hicks wasn't in TV or movies. She was in the 1937 movie The Toast of New York in an uncredited role for some reason, and she didn't pop up again until 1976 All in the Family when she was playing Mrs. Bradley, which is a classic role and something that of course she must have canceled her retirement to come back from. She was also in an episode of Different Strokes and Quantum Leap.
She's been in many shows.
She's done a lot of shows.
And now she's in Frasier.
She's made it. Never been in Star Trek though.
No.
Never
That's the guy coming up. Keith. What's the guy?
Keith Bishop.
Yeah, Keith Bishop. He played a Klingon and on Voyager.
Well, there you go.
So the award show starts. Keith Bishop is presenting the awards. He announces.
Now, before we go, okay. Niles is here in my favorite bit of the episode. He walks up and he's got a nice outfit. We skipped this, and Frasier asked if he could get him a drink, and he leaves. He comes back and is immediately insisted by BB, "Hey, could you get me a drink?" And then Noel, who I think knows who he is like, "Could I get a Diet Root Beer?" Because he is dressed exactly the same as the waiters, and he just keeps coming back and forth with drinks, and it's very fun.
It's pretty fun.
It's a great bit. So back here, Keith Bishop is standing next to Tawny Van Dusen, who is Miss CB 1994. So I guess there's like a swimsuit or like a beauty pageant element to radio, which is really funny since you can't see people in radio, and I don't know what she would do to convey. But she apparently
that's what makes it more challenging.
Yeah, you've got to win without being seen. You've got to be beautiful. Yeah, okay, I could see that. Never mind. I don't have complaints now.
It's a beauty contest where you don't see anybody.
Right, beauty comes from within.
Right.
Much like AM radio, much like morning radio.
So Keith Bishop, our host, he announces that Fletcher Gray is actually retiring this year, which dashes... which again, Frasier at this point is feeling very guilty over the campaigning that they did, and he expresses this to Roz, and Roz is like, "Oh, but don't worry, he can win next year." And then Keith comes in, "Oh, he's retiring." So this is his last chance. This is the very last year they can give him the thing. His nickname is apparently the Dean of Seattle Radio, unless there's actually a position in the Seattle Radio Broadcasting Organization called Dean, which maybe Fletcher Gray has it, and he's being forced. He's quitting. He's retiring. He's done, and he gets a standing ovation, applause as just for being there.
Just for being there, because he's been here so long. He's like a legend in the field. And he's being given. So they announce. I guess they start things off. Presumably, they give out other radio awards.
This is the worst way to run a radio award show.
We're starting with the most important one. After this, it's all editing. All of the awards are editing.
Outstanding achievement for informational programming and radio. Yeah, so it's like if they started the Academy Awards with Best Picture,
very best
or
picture,
Best Actor.
And after this, it's best adaptation of a novel into a radio show.
So it just happens to be they're gonna do the first award they're gonna announce. It just happens to be the one that Frasier's nominated for.
Of course,
isn't it a funny little world we live in?
Isn't it just goofy?
So we get through the nominees. We got Wendy Ashiro. We got Mike Friedman. We got Mike Sanchez. And, of course, we have Fletcher Gray for his show, From Where I Sit.
From Where I Sit is the name of the show.
Yeah, which...
Interesting thing, and one thing that is worth respect, is that Fletcher Gray apparently is not only the host of the show, he also produces it, which indicates a level of vision and almost auteur. This is something that his show is his passion. He's put a lot of time and effort into making it happen.
I get the sense that, is it like Is it like Andy Rooney's like the end of 60 Minutes where he like just comments about like
Yeah.
how like modern life and like smartphones and like
You know what I don't like? You know what I'm not a fan of? It's chairs that you fold. You know what?
That's what Fletcher Gray shows us.
You know what? If that's the case, I'm glad he never won.
Yeah.
You know what I hate? You know what I can't? Mechanical pencils. Why are robots taking these pencils jobs? You know?
You know what I hate? When the line's too long at the Golden Corral.
I'm sure Andy Rooney has said that phrase. You know what I don't. You know what I can't. You know what I can't stomach. Drive. I tried to walk up to a drive-thru and they were like, "Sir, you need a car." And it's like, I remember when you didn't have cars. And they were like, "You've got to get out of here, Andy Rooney."
They know him by name.
They know him by name.
He does this all the time.
All the time. All the time.
So we get to the envelope. The envelope, please. And at this point, Frasier's getting kind of worried because
Frasier's afraid because he feels like
everyone's really rooting for Fletcher. There was like a big standing ovation when they announced his name for the nomination.
BB did come over. It's important before all the rigmarole of the presentation here. BB came over and said, from what she has heard, it is a dead neck race between Frasier for his campaigning and Fletcher because he's kind of it's between the two of them. And Frasier starts to feel real guilty, and he starts to talk to Roz, who's like, "This is what if they're gonna lynch us if we win, if we beat Fletcher, because he deserves it and we don't." And he starts asking like, "Can we give it to can we deny it and give it to him if he wins?" And Roz says, I will if I have to crawl over Fletcher's mother's corpse to take this award, I will." And that is what
Roz is willing to do.
Roz is very much willing to do that, and
she's willing to do unspeakable things to get this award.
Now Keith gets the envelope and he opens it, and it's apparently a tie. To which Frasier expresses relief. "Oh, thank goodness, we can share it with Fletcher." And it turns out the winners were Wendy Ashiro and Mike Sanchez. And that's
womp womp.
That's kind of so it's not quite the end. No. There's a little bit of processing from here. Frasier is sitting at the table and Roz is sitting at the table. They're both favoring a drink. Both of them are real bummed. And Martin expresses a little bit of he doesn't agree with how he did it. He's sorry that Frasier lost. It's never easy to lose. And Frasier thanks him. And then Martin says, of course, if you played any organized sports, you would have learned about losing much earlier in life.
Aw, Martin.
Dad, Martin.
Not the time.
Not the time.
Not appropriate.
Martin lets him know, we'll talk about it over breakfast. And then they get Daphne home to soak her feet in some hot Epsom salts.
Yeah.
Because that's nice.
It's very nice. I love Epsom salts.
I've never done it.
It's so good.
Okay.
You got to try it.
I'll have to Epsom salt it up. I'll have to get assaulted, as I believe was the phrase. Isn't that like the commercial jingle for Epsom salts?
It's like bath salts.
Oh, okay. Oh, I heard those are fun.
Yeah, they're very fun.
Okay.
So we cut over to Noel and Roz. Noel is comforting. It seems like he's making an honest effort to comfort Roz. Is pointing out, it's just an honor to be nominated, and Roz is like, "Will you stop saying that?"
And again, Roz has been a radio producer for 10 years, never gotten a nomination.
This is her first nomination,
and she is completely despondent because she didn't win. Noel is trying to comfort her, it's good to get nominated, and Roz says, "Will you stop saying that?" Noel leaves. And then Roz apologizes. "I'm sorry, I'm just despondent." And then she says, "No, never mind, go ahead." And then she says, "I'm sorry, I'll see you at work on Monday." And he gives a thumbs up and leaves. At this point, so they're sitting, neither of them feel good. And then Fletcher Gray walks over. in my very favorite joke, again tying back into earlier, Niles comes back, has a drink, and just gives it to Fletcher Gray, and then leaves.
No lines. He's
say,
just accepted his role as a waiter at this point.
It doesn't say anything. He just cuts right out and exits, and that's been his entire night, presumably.
He got Employee of the Month.
Fletcher. First of all, Fletcher doesn't really talk to anybody. Fletcher he grabs a drink, and he asks how they're doing. And then he says, when I feel this sting of losing, you have to realize that it all boils down to the fact it's not about awards, it's not about accolades. It's about a body of work. If you can look at yourself in a mirror and say you've done a good job, that's all that matters. If you can do that, let the awards fall where they may. In a more fancy northern patois than I this is more of a gruff, masculine. This is more of a Martin thing than it is like a Fletcher thing. But Fletcher is just like, what are you going to do? You lose awards.
Yeah, and Frazier, he hears this and he's kind of taken aback. He's how someone with so many nominations and he has nothing to show for it, he can still hold his head up high and just take solace in the fact that he's done a good job. Which
is an interesting present, if you don't mind me, because obviously Fletcher Gray is beloved by the larger radio community. He just got a standing ovation for his lifetime of achievement in the field.
Martin likes him.
Martin loves it. Martin thinks he's a cutie. And it's so funny to hear Frazier go like, he's done this for 11 years and he can hold his head up high despite the fact he's got nothing to show for it. They had like a whole segment where the person announcing the award talked about how sad it was he was retiring and people clapped. I don't know.
Again, let's back up for a second. How big of a dick move is it that they did that? They made such a big deal about what a staple of the radio scene in Seattle Fletcher Gray is, and they still don't just give him the award.
Still didn't just give him the. They didn't even do that like Alfred Hitchcock. They didn't give him like an honorary acknowledgement. They were still like, no, you got to win it for real, Fletcher. Get the fuck out of here. 11 years. Make it 12, asshole. Come back from retirement. Get the fuck out.
Get your mother and your pink ladies and get the fuck out of here.
From where I sit, you got 0 awards, Fletcher. Get the fuck out.
So, Frazier, he comforts Roz. Roz is very upset. She thinks she's a loser. Frazier's like, "Oh, you're not a loser. We're buddies. We're gonna win an award. We're gonna win lots of awards. We're gonna stick by each other." And then, of course, Tawny, Miss CeeBee, comes up.
Miss CeeBee, 1994, walks up,
and she puts the moves on Frazier. She wants to have a drink with him, and Frazier, of course, looking at Roz. He's like, "Oh, Roz, are you doing better? Can I leave so I can have..."
I won't leave until I see a little smile on your face. And then Tawny walks up and he's like, "Do I see a smile?" Even though she is crushed and is definitely not smiling. And Roz is like, "Go ahead." And Frazier's like, "Thanks." And then an odd sort of line, Frazier's like, "That's an interesting name you have." And Tawny goes, "You mean Miss CeeBee?" And Frazier goes, "Yeah," as if she doesn't know her name.
Real winner, Frazier picked there.
Yep.
Clearly his intellectual equal.
Naturally. We didn't talk at all about John McMartin, who is an actor in films and stuff. He was in All the President's Men.
He's the one who plays Fletcher, right?
He played Fletcher Gray.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention because he wasn't in Star Trek.
Oh, I see. He was in a lot of episodes of Law and Order. He was in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. He was in Oz. Yeah, I thought there'd be more here because he was in 4 episodes of Murder, She Wrote as different people.
He was in an episode of Cheers. I did notice that.
Let's see. He was in Magnum P.I. He was in Legal Eagles, which is a great title. All right, that's enough. Never mind. I was hoping I'd find something here. No,
it's not funny.
No.
I saw that before, and I'm like, oh, I can't make any jokes about this.
There's nothing fun or interesting about this guy's career. I'm glad he didn't win, you know?
I'm glad he didn't win the fake award, the show.
He shouldn't have won anything. I'm glad. Real glad.
All right. Well, that's. I guess that's gonna do it for this episode. Let's briefly discuss. We've got our next one coming up. Give him the chair.
Give him the... Oh, my God. Apparently, they've decided to kill Fletcher Gray after he's...
No. It's Frazier is tired of Martin's favorite chair and gets rid of it, replacing it with a new one. So the favorite chair, the ugly chair that Frazier hates but Martin loves and brought with him when he moved in with Frazier. Martin demands his old chair back. The old chair is easily located on the set of a school production, but the recovery proves difficult. So Frazier's got to jump through some hoops to get his father's chair back, a chair that he has expressed lots of, dislike for. So we're gonna find out about this chair, and we're gonna see what kind of wacky hijinks ensue when Frazier decides to replace it.
I, for one, can't wait.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for the Frazier and Frazier podcast. Thank you for listening. We will thank you for Wes for being here, as you always are. I don't know really why. I still insist on thanking you, even though you're...
I mean, I'm glad to be here, but I appreciate it, Just an honor to be not nominated to be here, and here I am.
I'm honored to be nominated as well. All right. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
KCL780.net for providing episode transcripts, and Ronald O'Connell for providing our theme song, Frazier MIDI.